Well, good morning, everyone. And as we come off this weekend, some of the most important things kind of taking shape over the next several days are really brewing in the tropics. Just to get you up to speed here on some of the things we saw shift around this weekend, we have seen some more robust waves coming off of Africa. They're dealing better with the drier conditions to the north, and the wind shear is improving across this area, allowing for these systems to really show a bit more life. And this is going to become quite important for our forecast. The National Hurricane Center, with their 8 a.m. update today, has increased the likelihood of this system here up to 80% of development here, probability development over the next 5 days. And we also have a few other areas we're just keeping a close eye on here, and there are more waves following this. So let's get a quick look here at what our models are suggesting in terms of the moisture transport and potential development of these systems. Now, one of the things we're really watching carefully is the low that is here, which is likely going to be the one we would be talking about in the near term for potentially coming toward the United States. The models were pretty aggressive on the timing of a front, plus an upper level trough that's going to come through here that could push this system out to open ocean before it ever gets to the United States. Now that's going to really be predicated on kind of the wave train of lows and subsequent high pressure systems that are going to come across the United States over the next 10 days. I'm going to show you that in a few moments. But even though this is what you may see as the most dominant factor in the model forecast, I want to keep a very close eye in the Gulf of Mexico and in the Caribbean for more rapid onset development here as we work our way into the month of September. Now, what's most important about this is that if you look right now at the month-to-date precipitation statistics, you're seeing here that the month of August has been extremely wet down in the lower Mississippi River Valley. Parts of Louisiana and Mississippi here having the wettest August on record. You can also see the effect of the southwest monsoon, the recent extremely heavy rains that have come through here, and pockets of heavier storms throughout much of the country. But even though there were scattered storms in the central United States over the weekend, it was not enough to kind of outdo the longer-term drought situation that's going on here. I would also like to just note northeast and northwest. A lack of onshore flow in the northwest has really started to get this area drier. You're going to see in a few minutes how hot we're expecting it to get here. Now, what's problematic about this setup is there will be nothing impeding the flow out of the Gulf of Mexico. The setup is just not set up to block that. So when we look at over the next 2 weeks here, this is a 15-day precipitation anomaly forecast. You can see so much of the southern United States here looking at the possibility of an extra, 2 to 3 inches, maybe even more, depending on if these tropical systems develop compared to normal. You do see a drier forecast for much of the interior, but we will be talking about some storms coming through here again later today before these big high pressure systems kind of clear things out. Over the weekend, we saw heavy rains through the Dakotas, through Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, into Illinois, even pockets of Indiana and Michigan. And the storms that came down here into parts of Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, while locally delivered some heavier rainfall, we still need a lot more out of this. Now, the primary driver for this is this low that's moving today through the Great Lakes and will move through parts of eastern Canada and the Northeast very soon. But before I show you that, I just want to make a point here that we do have a lot of scattered thunderstorm activity throughout the southeast into the Tennessee Valley, and even a few pockets in the northeast as well. So from here, let's go look at where the storms are this morning. I thought I'd show them to you on Lightning. One of my favorite sites. I linked it in the report today, blitzertongue.org. You can see the storms coming out of Nebraska into Iowa, also the ones here in Indiana and Ohio, and just a few other pockets of them down into Oklahoma. And all of these are associated with a larger low that's spinning here through parts of the Great Lakes. So today there's been a lot of discussion about this in the meteorological community about what could possibly show up here. There is the boundary. The storms could hop off that boundary and kind of on their own outflow really push forward very quickly. And so the Storm Prediction Centers increased this area to enhanced risk. They did this last night. And it's just a region we're going to be watching for severe storms. The models are not in agreement on where these are going to be. And I'm going to show you the high-res NAM just as an example. So if I just play it quickly, can you see the low moving through eastern Canada, dragging the front east by the time we get out to Wednesday midday? So that's the system we're watching. But you'll notice that through midday today, scattered storms out ahead of this, and then the front, again, sweeps through, storms jump off that front. I'm expecting mostly an environment that will promote linear or squall line type storms that come through here. But this is a bit different solution than what like the high resolution rapid refresh would suggest, which I've linked in the report. and even what some of the different ensemble members of these high-res models are suggesting. So I just want to make a point that today this region needs to keep an eye out on the radar, and we can even expand that a bit further to the south as these storms kind of pull through this afternoon and this evening. Tomorrow, though, again, scattered storms through New England. This is great. Need to bring in some moisture here. The front then drapes down here to the south, and that's where a lot of the action really just stays. High pressure builds in behind this. So once you get rid of these chances for storms in through here today, all the action is really going to return down here to the Gulf Coast. So to show you that, let's hop over to the high-res European model. One more there. There we go. And watch this. So there's the first system we've talked about through Tuesday. See, it's connected to that deep low. Now, after we get through Tuesday into Wednesday, the main frontal boundary moves through New England and just lingers here. And what we're going to see is plenty of moisture pulling in from the Gulf of Mexico into the south. High pressure dominates the midsection of the United States. So this is Wednesday afternoon and evening, getting into Thursday, getting into Friday. See, a low runs through the Canadian Prairie, tries to swipe a front through, could initiate some storms in the upper Midwest, but the big high is what's going to really, I think, starve these for some moisture. Now notice this. Now this is the operational European run by next Sunday into Monday. See the potential tropical system here. But notice the surge of moisture early next week, possibly coming up through the Mississippi River. Now there's a lot of uncertainty with this, but if you move a big high pressure cell here, all right, and the flow comes around it like this, it's going to do two things. It's going to interact with this low and return a lot of that moisture and potential tropical moisture deep into the Midwestern part of the United States. Okay, we got question marks on this, but we're going to keep an eye on it. You put it all together, I have the map on the left. That's the next week's worth of precipitation anomalies. And you can see how wet it's going to be in southern Texas, Louisiana, and parts of Arkansas, Mississippi. And then into week 2, that same pattern continues down here. So I'm quite concerned about this. The other factor with this near-term forecast we're watching carefully is shown in the upper level flow pattern. By Tuesday into Wednesday, we could see up to a 600 decameter ridge that sits over California and Nevada. Highly amplified pattern. See these deeper troughs flanking this ridge. And what this represents here is the risk of extreme heat in the west that builds into the Canadian Prairie. That's an impressive ridge out there even by next Sunday. So you can see the two of them. There's a ridge here and there's a ridge there. So this one feeds, this one delivers the heat, and we're going to see these temperatures really start to crank. So here's today's high temperatures, 90s in New England, 90s in the Northwest. But as we get here into Tuesday and Wednesday, the cooler air comes in east. But look at the heat we're going to be watching midweek this week from the Central Valley into parts of the Northwest. By Thursday, here's high temperatures getting into Friday, out there towards Saturday and Sunday. So see the heat spilling underneath this? Once again, just to echo what I've been discussing, you continue to look at this pattern through the beginning of September. The setup of the trough ridge pattern continues to favor more troughing in the north central Pacific, and as a result we do not see any major cold air intrusions occurring at the beginning of September. So if the heat stays here, the jet stream stays farther to the north, we avoid that. So no risk of early frosts at this point, through at least through the middle of the month. I'll keep an eye on that though and report back to you. Hey, I look forward to talking again tonight in my in-depth report. Until then, have a good rest of your day. Thanks.